Join us and help us continue to support the many talented people of our community. Learn how to get your business highlighted on La Crosse Local. Go to lacrosselocal.com and click on Advertise. The Pump House Regional Arts Center brings you live, heartfelt performances from gifted singer-songwriters. Enjoy original music brought to stage by area mainstay musicians and sought-after regional bands. Check out the concert series online and pick up your tickets at thepumphouse.org. We connect with painter Rick Ross of Summit Art Studio. We talk oil and cold wax painting, traditional and abstract landscapes, and getting loose with the medium. You can find more conversations, food reviews, weekend picks, live music, and events on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is La Crosse Local.
My name is Rick Ross. I run Summit Art Studio, and I'm originally from a small town in Missouri by the name of Rolla, but we moved to Wisconsin close to 20 years ago, and now I'm living in Mount Horeb.
So how did you kind of pick up painting? Like, what was the earliest instance of knowing about it or even doing it?
So I've always been interested in art, and when I was younger, I was always doodling and painting and drawing and doing all kinds of stuff. My dad was actually a map maker and an artist on the side, and would show me all kinds of different things. But funny story, even when I was in third grade, I was drawing so much that I developed my own cartoon character. And I would trade these cartoon characters. It was Baxter the dog for different things like bubble gum or a quarter or something. So it was a great little lucrative business for a while, but then I got in trouble because I wasn't doing my homework, so I had to stop. But yeah, so and then I took a break. Took a lot of art classes in high school and in early college, but then I took a break and got back into it when I started becoming be a stay-at-home dad with my boys. So yeah, it took like, oh gosh, it was 15, 20 years off.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but now I'm full-blown artist and stay-at-home dad, and I'm loving every second of it. So
So why did you choose the path of, I've heard of encaustic paintings, and of course I've heard of oil, but you
yeah.
kind of specialize in oil and cold wax. Why do you choose those sort of mediums?
Well, actually, I happened upon cold wax sort of by accident because I was really interested in doing encaustic, and then doing the research, I realized that the space that I work, I just don't have the area for all the setup for the extra fans, and it's just not something that I could do in my home. So through my work, I stumbled upon cold wax and decided to give it a try, and just fell in love with it. Took a few classes to learn how to do it so I wasn't wasting materials all the time. And uh,
Huh.
yeah, it just kind of took off. After my first class, I was hooked.
How do you apply it really with cold wax? I mean, I'm kind of familiar with encaustic. So how
Yeah.
does it all work?
So there's no heat involved. The way the cold wax works is that the wax, and it depends on the manufacturer. The brand that I use is primarily paraffin wax, and they make it soft and creamy by adding mineral spirits to it.
Hmm.
And then I use oil paint to mix it together, and then I apply it in thin layers over my surface. And as the mineral spirits or whatever the solvent is that they use in the manufacturer, it evaporates over time, and then it hardens, traps pretty much anything that's underneath it. So if you have collage elements to your work or whatever, you can do that too. But the way I work with it, I use small rubber brayers or palette knives or silicone tools to kind of move the paint wax mixture around.
Hmm.
And then, like I said, lots of layers. So some of my pieces will get, 50, 100, 200
Hmm.
layers of this mixture. And I do different things in between each layer. I'll make marks, scratch, scrape, change up the color, add different elements. At some point, I dig back in and use solvents to dissolve, and then I cover that up. And it's all this process that finally comes together and tells me when it's done.
You do traditional landscapes. You also do kind of abstract landscapes, also just looks kind of abstract. Is
Mhm.
that kind of a natural progression where did you start with the landscapes and then kind of started to get loose with it, or how did that work? Because I mean, are some of these also like plein air? I mean, I know that's difficult with oil too, isn't it?
Well, originally I did a lot more realistic work with acrylics, and then
Mm.
once I discovered this cold wax medium, it really lends itself to, for me anyway, to working a lot more loosely, very textural. So that's kind of how the evolution happened. Most of my scenes are a conglomeration of different places I've been. So
Mm.
you might see a landscape and it might be a part of the Driftless and also something that I saw in Ireland.
Hmm.
So yeah, I kind of mix them up and make my own scenes, but they're always kind of loose, atmospheric places. And I'm along with, like with my abstract work, I like to have the idea of something hidden underneath the surface. So when I look at my landscapes, if you look at most of them, there's a lot of fog and there's a lot of distance in them. And I like the idea of not being able to quite see what's out there, just a little
Hmm.
bit of mystery. So
Picking up cold wax, was there some influences you kind of saw? Or is there anyone that you kind of, you're familiar that you enjoy who also does kind of similar work?
yeah, actually, I there's quite a few artists that I've discovered over the years that are just blowing me away with what they're doing. One is a Wisconsin artist who moved away a few years ago, Rebecca Kroll. She's kind
Hmm.
of the guru of cold wax, and she's a very familiar name to anyone who works with it. She was from Osseo, I believe, but definitely left her influence on a lot of the artists that work with the medium here. She's fantastic. I learned from a gentleman who was out of Minneapolis, who passed away a few years ago. But Mark Russell does just absolutely fantastic cold wax landscapes out of Chicago. There's a whole bunch of them that I just absolutely love. Yeah.
So, I kind of saw your work. I was checking out this year's lineup for the Art Dash, which is a fundraiser for the Franciscan Spirituality Center.
Yeah.
How long have you been involved with them? Is this your first year doing it, or is it something that you've checked out before?
This will be my second year. I met someone from the Franciscan Spirituality Center in a class that I taught down in Prairie du Sac, and she's a fantastic person. She says, "Hey, we do this art dash. Would you be interested in donating a piece?" And I looked into it and thought, yeah, that sounds great. And then they reached out to me to teach a class last year, so I taught a class at their center, and I have another one coming up this spring. And they're great to work with, and yeah, been a good
So,
relationship.
besides the Art Dash, how can people like pick up your work?
So I have work in the Prairie du Sac gallery called Arts, and then I have more work in Paoli Mercantile in Paoli, and then I do a handful of art fairs in and around Dane County. I actually have a painting going in the Roundtree Gallery in Platteville for a show that they're doing that covers a driftless artist. That's going in this weekend, so it'll be all of March. That should be a fun show to do. But I Viva Galleries had me in there before in Viroqua. So I'm just I'm all over the place. But Prairie du Sac, River Gallery, and Paoli Mercantile are probably my two biggest places that I show work.
Kind of checking out your social media here. So, it looks
Sure.
like you do keep updated on it. What's the best avenue for people to kind of follow along with you? Do you kind of like tell stories with it on social media, or do you like to show the
Yeah.
process, or how do you work?
So I have a website. It's summitartstudio.com. I show some work on there. Like some artists, I just don't keep it updated very regularly. Social media is so much easier to do. So Facebook and Instagram, both of them under Summit Art Studio. Sometimes I'll show process stuff, but I'm always updating it with new works or new shows or art fairs or anything like that.
Lacrosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at Lacrosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com, and you can subscribe to the Lacrosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.